gods lead to heaven. Not all religions can save you. Not all prophets can save you. Not all books make you righteous. Not all churches can save you. Bro. Who are you worshiping today? Good afternoon, family. I hope you guys are not tired. We have church at 3 p.m. Okay, I know it's probably some of your guys' bedtime. Sorry, guys. But God is more important than your bedtime routine. You know, I gotta say, it's been a great church service so far. We're just thankful for Jahir and Linda just getting us going with the mountain today. You know Linda, just glossy Linda. Super excellent, glossy. I mean, Linda wants to raise up and be a Bible talk coordinator in the future, guys. It's pretty awesome. And of course, we had, arguably, an incredible, moving, heartwarming communion by Kosi. You did a phenomenal job for us. Thank you so much for helping us to connect to the cross by sharing how you are not a victim of your past, but rather you've shown that you're a victor. And you've allowed the cross of Christ to transform you into a radiant woman of God. Yeah. We're grateful for you. Thank you for sharing vulnerability to the church today to help us connect to the cross. You did an awesome job. Thank you so much. And of course our vintage disciple, Ryan Winkelhorst, he ages like fine wine. That's Ryan over there, and he just inspired us with the contribution. Thank you so much, Ryan, for getting us going financially. Let's go to Acts 17, family. Acts chapter 17. Why do we read the book of Acts? Because the church in the book of Acts, they evangelize the world in their generation. Yeah. And our goal today is to imitate the hearts of the apostles and the disciples in the first century church in the book of Acts. Yeah. Acts 17, it says in verse 16. While Paul was waiting for them in Athens, he was greatly distressed to see that the city was full of idols. Yeah. The title of the lesson today is simply, a city full of idols. We see here that Paul, he is waiting in Athens. And the Bible says that he was troubled in his spirit. I'm going to ask you a question. How do you feel when you live in a city full of idols? Do you conform to the idolatry in the nation? Or do you accept the idolatry in the nation? You see that, family? Yeah. See, the Bible says Paul was provoked in his spirit. Yeah. Paul was ticked off in his spirit. He was angry in his spirit. The Message version says, the longer Paul waited in Athens for Silas and Timothy, the angrier he got. All those idols. The city was a junkyard of idols. Wow. You see, Paul was on a city tour. Some of us, when we go on tour in different cities, we take photos of all the monuments. We're amazed by the monuments. We're like, wow, look at that beautiful building. Wow, it's amazing. We take photos, we post on Instagram. If Paul took a city tour, he'd be ticked off at the idolatry that was in the city. He was angry at the city. While we get amazed by the idolatry, Paul was angry at the idolatry. Verse 17 says, so he reasoned in the synagogue with both Jews and God-fearing Greeks, as well as in the marketplace, day by day, with those who happen to be there. See, notice how Paul doesn't go around the city smashing all the idols. He rather would preach the truth to get the idolatry out of man's hearts. Because there is no point if you smash the idol if the idol hasn't smashed in your heart. You create a new idol. See, Paul's like, no, there's no point in trying to smash every single idol out there. I'd rather smash the idol in your heart so you focus on God. You see that, family? Yeah. Come on. Paul was moved. Come on, bro. He was moved when he saw the false idols. And he knew the only solution to preach the truth about the one true God. That's Jesus. It says over here that there are many idols. And the Greek word for many is kaditos. It means overwhelmed or swamped by idols. And this Greek word is only used over here, showing how many idols there were in Athens at this time. Some say there were over 30,000 idols in Athens. So in every street corner you traveled, you saw an idol. In the conversation you would have with people, idolatry would come out of their hearts. in the law of the land, it was influenced by idolatry. The behavior of the people were influenced by idolatry. One may say, it is easier to find an idol than a man in Athens. Wow. There were more idols than people in Athens. Wow. You know, when I think about the Netherlands, I think about what could be our idols.
Come on, bro. Talk about it.
Could it be the bikes?
Hey. Sorry, bro.
There's more bikes than people. Could it be the cheese? I mean, we have more cheese than people. What could be the idolatry in the Netherlands over here? But it's interesting how the Bible describes that Athens was a city swamped by idols, but we know that there was a church in Athens. So despite there being a city full of idolatry, there was a true church of God. So Amsterdam may be known as a city of idols. We know the true church of God. That's the Amsterdam church family. As I said earlier in the welcome, light can overcome darkness.
Come on.
And that's why we have a church in Amsterdam. Because we believe that light can overcome the darkness and the idolatry in the nations. Verse 22. Paul then stood up in the meeting of the Areopagus and said, people of Athens, I see that everywhere that you are very religious. For as I walked around and looked carefully at your objects of worship, I even found an altar with this inscription, to an unknown God. So you are ignorant of the very thing you worship. And this is what I'm going to proclaim to you. The God who made the world and everything in it is Lord of heaven and earth, and doesn't live in temples built by human hands. He is not served by human hands as if he needed anything. Rather, himself gives everyone life, breath, and everything else, and the church says, Amen. First point is simply man-made or God-made. Man-made or God-made. You know, it's interesting how the Bible describes people who are idolatrous as religious. They were religious.
Come on.
See, the only time in the Bible where the word religion is used is when you worship an idol. Not worshiping the true God. It's kind of interesting when you think about that. You know, the word religious in the Greek here, it's a very long word, I'm not going to pronounce it. It means to have misguided religiosity. It means believing in a false God or a superstition rather than the one true God. And it's interesting because it comes from another Greek word, daimon, which means the worship of demons. Come on, bro. So the issue with the city, it was not that they were not worshiping God. They were worshiping demons. That's the problem. It's kind of interesting when you think about it. They're like, wow. See, everyone is a worshiper.
Yeah.
You either worship an idol or the one true God. Everyone's religious. You're either worshiping a demon or you're worshiping God. Everyone goes to church. Either you're a church of true baptized disciples or a church that's called a stadium or a nightclub. Come on, bro. Lay it out, bro. This city was called religious and they were worshiping demons. You know, I used to be very religious. Many years ago, I used to go to church every single week. I used to pay my tithe consistently. I would tell people about Christ as well. I was walking around the street telling people about Christ and so forth. And I believed I was saved, but I knew I wasn't saved because I was just religious. I'd watch porn every single day of my night and masturbate. I hated my dad. I wouldn't want to forgive him for what he's done to me. I didn't want to forgive those who sexually abused me. I was so prideful and I was so religious and I knew I wasn't saved. See, you can be religious and not saved.
Wow.
These guys were religious and they were going straight to hell.
Come on, bro.
You ask, bro, what's wrong with worshiping any God? Well, worshiping the wrong God leads to the wrong afterlife.
Come on, bro.
Not all gods lead to heaven. Not all religions can save you. Not all prophets can save you. Not all books make you righteous.
Come on.
Not all churches can save you. Bro. Who are you worshiping today?
Come on.
Do you know who you're worshiping today? You know, it's interesting. These guys were worshiping an unknown God. See, Athens was such a religious city that they wanted to worship. They were trying to cover all grounds. They were like, listen, I don't want to miss any God. So they would worship every single god known at that time that they even create an idol to a God they don't even know. They're like, we don't know, if there's a God we don't know about, we're worshiping him. And the word unknown God is where we get the word agnostic. People like to say, well, hey, I don't believe in God, I'm agnostic. No, you do believe in God. He's just not the true God. You're worshiping. You just don't know the God that you're worshiping. So agnostics in the Bible, they were worshiping God. They didn't know who it was. That's what it is. So you are worshiping God. You just don't know the God you worship. Agnostic. Acts chapter 19.
Come on, bro.
Acts 19. You guys with me today?
Yes.
Okay. Acts 19. A city full of idols. We're going to talk about idolatry today.
Oh, boy.
You're going to leave today knowing there's only one true God and you're going to worship him.
Yeah, bro.
Preach it, bro. Acts 19, verse 23. About that time, there arose a great disturbance above the way. A silversmith named Demetrius, who made silver shrines of Artemis, brought in a lot of business for the craftsmen there. He called them together, along with the workers in related trades, and said, you know, my friends, that we receive a good income from this business. And you see and hear how this fellow Paul has convinced and led astray large numbers of people here in Ephesus, and in practically the whole province of Asia. He says that gods made by human hands are not gods at all. Come on, Paul. Look what they say. There is danger. Not only that our trade will lose its good name, but also that the temple of the great goddess Artemis will be discredited. And the goddess herself, who is worshipped throughout the province of Asia and the world, will be robbed of her divine majesty. See, an idol is simply something that's made by man. An idol needs you to defend it. Come on, bro. They were defending the idol. If it's a God, why does it need to be defended?
Preach.
Come on. An idol needs you to defend it. And an idol only has the power you actually give to it. It's powerless. It only has the power you give to it. You know, think about idols. They're like imaginary friends.
Yeah.
They're only alive to you. They're not real. You see, the people at this time, they were afraid of choosing the one true God. They knew the way. They knew about the church. But they're like, we don't want to go there because they were afraid of losing their finances, their financial security. They were afraid of losing their reputation in the land. They were afraid of losing, relationships and so forth. You know, some people know that they got to become true disciples, but they're afraid of letting go of their idols in their life. Because then it leads to a lack of financial security. It leads to you losing relationships and so forth. You see what I mean, family?
Yeah.
These guys knew the truth, but they didn't want to let go of it because the idolatry was affecting their lives.
Yeah.
But we see here a handful of people did leave the idolatry. A handful of people said, no, we know what the truth is. We know the way, we know the life, and that's Jesus Christ. So despite us living in a city of idols over here, guys, there's going to be a handful that say, no, we don't want to worship any idols.
Come on.
We know who the truth is.
Yeah.
We know who the way is.
Come
and
on.
we know who the life is.
Come
Jesus.
on. Yeah. Let's go.
Jesus. So, where does Paul get this conviction that man-made gods are not God at all? Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 16.
Come on, Frank.
Where does he get this conviction from? Jeremiah 16. Paul didn't just get this conviction from nowhere. It came from somewhere. Jeremiah 16 says in verse 20. Come on, bro. So Jeremiah says this from God. Verse 20, do people make their own gods? Yes, but they're not gods. So this is where Paul got this teaching, or this idea. It was from the prophets. The prophets believed that, you can make your own God, but he's just not a God. He's man-made. See, at this time, there were 3 popular idols you would worship. Okay? The first was known as Baal or Ashtoreth. Baal was the god of sex and fertility. And what would happen is, if you want to go worship Baal, you'd go to the temple of Baal. You'd have casual sex with anyone you find over there at the temple, or the prostitutes you'd find over there. And then, that's how you worship Baal. A lot of sexual immorality, nudity, impurity. That's Baal. And today, Baal is called Red Light District. Baal is called Tinder. Baal is called OnlyFans.
Talk about it.
The second god was Molech. Molech was the god of power. He was the god who wanted you to feel powerful by sacrificing your babies. And you'd sacrifice your baby because you believe it's your body. Today, Molech is called abortion rights. That's Molech. The third most popular one was called Mammon. That's the god of money. Today, the god is called trading, cryptocurrency, and get-rich-quick schemes. We still worship the same demons, just different names. Power, money, and sex. See, in life, there are things that God has made and things that man has made. And you gotta ask yourself, what kind of life do you want? A man-made life or a God-made life? Wow. What kind of Christianity do you want to have? A man-made Christianity or a God-made Christianity? What kind of marriage do you want to have? A man-made Christianity or a God-made Christianity? What kind of church do you want to be? A man-made church or a God-made church? Everything we buy has the country of origin. Okay? Everything we buy, every single thing you buy, stuff like that, there's a country of origin. And this thing is called the country of origin labeling. Okay? In short, it's called cool, right? That's what it's called. And they say that this is so essential because you kind of have to know where certain items that are made come from. Okay? For example, hey, you see someone walking down the streets, with the Ajax, football T-shirt. There's Ajax playing today. They're going to church. Many of them are going to church. Ajax football club. You see a guy wearing an Ajax uniform. You're like, man, you totally got it from Galveston. I know you got it. It was made here in the Netherlands. But then upon closer examination, you look at the tag and it says made in Bangladesh. You're like, bro, this is not authentic. This is not, bro, you didn't make this here. So from the outside, it looks like it was made in the Netherlands, but it wasn't really made there. And sometimes, you hear people, oh yeah, my mom and dad made me.
Wow. Yeah.
But upon close examination, no, it's actually God who made you. It's God who made you. Within the DNA of human beings, God's label is there. Within your breath, God's label is there. We think, God's name is called Yahweh, but then the Hebrews didn't speak like us. Hebrews didn't have certain vowels like us. We've got Yahweh, there's like too many vowels. We speak a lot. So the Hebrews, Yahweh was just two, was inhale and exhale. So Yahweh was Yahweh. So it's God. So every time you breathe, you're saying God's name. Breathing, God. God. And the first word a baby makes is not mama, papa, it's God. It's God. And the moment you stop breathing and pronouncing God, you die. You can't live without God. Your mom and dad didn't make you, God made you. God made you. That's your label. Exodus 32. Let's go to Exodus 32. Come on, bro. Exodus 32. Let's look at a time where God's people became apostate, fell away, and what caused them to fall away. Exodus 32. After seeing the wonderful miracles, after seeing God part the Red Sea, after God's, saving their soul. Look at the spirituality of God's people here in Exodus 32. In verse 1. When the people saw that Moses was so long in coming down from the mountain, they gathered around Aaron and said, "Come, make us gods, who will go before us. As for this fellow Moses," I hope you guys don't speak like that about your leaders. Like, this Frank guy. Man. As for this fellow Moses who brought us out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him. Aaron answered them, "Take off the gold earrings that your wives, your sons, your daughters are wearing, and bring them to me." Here we see the root of idolatry. Idolatry comes from impatience. Many times people are idolaters because they're impatient. You see that? They couldn't wait for God. And also, it's rooted in faithlessness. Idolatry is rooted in faithlessness. Because it takes faith to believe in a God you don't see. So they wanted to see a God, so they were like, okay, I want to see God. So they created a golden calf, so they can see their God. So that's faithlessness. So faithlessness makes you create idols. Because, and this is what happens, because we don't see certain things. I don't see marriage, and I don't want to wait for God, so I'll leave the kingdom and go make my own marriage. That's what happens. I don't see a job, wait for God. You just take any job that takes out the kingdom.
Come on.
I don't see any houses, man. So you just take the house that takes you far away from God's kingdom. Because faithlessness.
Talk about it, bro.
Idolatry. So the people, they wanted to see their God. And because they couldn't see their God, they created an idol, a golden calf. And idolatry is so stupid. Do you know how stupid it is?
Yeah.
They say, make us gods who will go before us. Idols cannot move. And they want to create an idol that will lead them. You see what I mean? You see how silly it is? That's idolatry. It's very silly. It doesn't make sense. Now it's interesting because they forget that God actually saved them. You see how quick you are to forget who saved you?
Yeah.
You can start off awesome, close to God. God, you saved me. But later on down the line, you want your idol to take you to heaven. You stop relying on God and you think your idolatry is going to get you to heaven. They thought that idol would get them to the promised land.
Call it out, bro.
They start off with God. God saved them. And they expect to change the source of their joy, the source of their power to get to heaven, their idol. And that can happen to a lot of people. They start off awesome, trusting God, being close to God, but they expect their idolatry to lead them to heaven and be spiritual. But let's keep reading over here. Check this out.
Come on, bro.
Look at verse 2. It says, Aaron answered them, take off the gold earrings that your wives, your sons, your daughters are wearing, and bring them to me. Now, this is convicting, okay? This is chapter 32. Let's go to 25. Exodus 25. This is convicting.
Come on, bro.
Exodus 25.
Preach the word, bro.
Okay? Now, before they built the tabernacle, the tabernacle was not awesome. Okay? The tabernacle was just a little tent. You know, sometimes you gotta have a tabernacle before the temple. Okay? Tabernacle, a little tent, you know, it's not awesome. Just people come together, worship God, and to God be the glory. Okay, that's a tabernacle. The temple is glorious, beautiful. Gold furnishings, I mean, it's awesome. Everything's angelic singing, I mean, it's out of this world. So, hey, before you get the temple, you gotta go to the tabernacle. That's how it works. Now, look what God required for them to build the tabernacle. Exodus 25, verse 1. The Lord said to Moses, tell the Israelites to bring me an offering. You are to receive the offerings for me from everyone whose heart prompts them to give. These are the offerings you are to receive from them. Gold, silver, bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet yarn, and fine linen, goat hair, ram skins, dyed red, and another type of durable leather, acacia wood, olive oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil, and for the fragrant incense, and onyx stones and other gems to be mounted on the ephod and breastpiece. Then have them make a sanctuary for me, and I'll dwell among them. Make this tabernacle, all its furnishings exactly the pattern I will show you. So in Exodus 32, right, what does Aaron ask of them? Their gold. So instead of using the finances to build the tabernacle, people all gave their money to build an idol. When it came to the tabernacle, God said, not just only those who really want to give. But when it came to the idol, everyone gave. Everyone all of a sudden gave all their gold, everything. They took from the kids, they took from everybody. You see what I mean? You see how much we financially invest in your idols? Well, our idols, we give a lot of money to our idols. But to God, I don't know. You see what I mean? Aaron didn't collect any money for the tabernacle, but he collected a lot of funds for the golden calf. And I hope that's not us, where we spend more financially on our idols during Christmas instead of hitting our love offering goal.
Come on, bro.
How that's not going to be us? How that's not us? The golden calf of PS5, the golden calf, the nice fat bike, the golden calf. You know, I don't know what else the sisters need. You know, new nails, new nail kit. You know, I don't know. Okay? So we see that sadly, when you worship an idol, you can financially invest more into it than invest in God's kingdom. Now, the condition of the church here is terrible because everyone's given to idolatry. It says the wives, the married ministry is not doing great. Okay, the marrieds are not doing great. The singles are not doing great. The campus, it's just even the leaders given to idolatry. We see here anyone can fall into idolatry. Anyone. Doesn't mean just a married doesn't know. No one's exempt from falling into idolatry. Okay? We see it over here. Now look at verse 4. Okay, let's keep reading. Verse 4 says, he took what they handed him and made it into an idol cast in the shape of a calf, fashioning it with a tool. Then they say, these are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt. Which is a lie. It never existed. Idolatry will make you create a new doctrine. They knew what saved them in the beginning. All of a sudden, oh, no, bro. What do you mean you don't need to be baptized to be saved? Whoa, where does this come from? Whoa, hey, what do you... No, idolatry will make you create a whole new religion. A whole new doctrine.
Come on.
That's what happens over here. See, it's a lie. This never saved them. Look at verse 5. When Aaron saw this, he built an altar in front of the calf and announced, tomorrow there'll be a festival to the Lord. So next day the people rose early and sacrificed burnt offerings and presented fellowship offerings. Afterwards they sat down to eat and drink and got up to indulge in revelry. You know, people will build an altar for an idol, but not build an altar for their quiet times. People here were zealous for the idol, but won't be zealous for church. People came early for their idol, but come late for church.
Talk about it.
Everyone came to the festival of their idol, but hey, for God's festivals, it's an option. Everyone stayed for the fellowship, but in God's church, you don't want to fellowship with anybody. You see that, guys? What describes your Christianity today? Man-made or God-made? Man-made Christianity or a God-made Christian? What describes your walk with God today, family? See that? And let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 5. I hope you guys still there. Are we still fired up to love Jesus?
Let's go, Frank.
1 Samuel chapter 5.
Preach, bro.
A city full of idols.
Come on.
1 Samuel chapter 5 and verse 1, it says, after the Philistines had captured the ark of God, they took it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. Then they carried the ark into Dagon's temple and set it beside Dagon. You know, over here, the Philistines captured the ark of God. Now, the ark was, the ark of God was this it was like a box kind of crate you would have. Now, it wasn't God, but it represented the presence of God. Okay? But we see over here that sadly, sometimes as a Christian, you can put God in a box. You can limit him, limit his power. And here, they were used to a God in the box, but he was not God. He just represented the presence of God. God was outside of the box, not the ark. He wasn't in the ark, he was outside the ark. In verse 2, it says they carried the ark into Dagon's temple and set it beside Dagon. When the people of Ashdod rose early the next day, there was Dagon fallen on his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. They took Dagon and put him back in his place. But the following morning when they rose, there was Dagon fallen on his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. His head and hands had been broken off and were lying on the threshold. Only his body remained. That is why to this day neither the priests of Dagon nor any others who entered Dagon's temple at Ashdod step on the threshold. This is interesting. The people here, it says, they woke up early. They went out there in the temple. They put Dagon in his place. That's why people like idols, because they can control their idol. See, you can't put God in his place. He puts you in your place. Wow. That's why people love idols, because they can tell where to go. They love it. put it here, pick it up. I control this idol. Whereas God, you can't control God. You see that? And it's kind of interesting over here. It's funny because these guys, they wake up early to go worship their idol. See, you know, it's kind of interesting when it comes to idolatry. You don't need no sermons to motivate you to go share your faith. You don't need no accountability. You don't need no quiet time. You are self-motivated for your idol.
Yeah.
You don't need anyone to come over you. Hey, bro, how many guests do you have? No. For your idol, you got guests for your idols. You sharing the tickets. You got the discount. You know, this what I mean, guys?
Yeah.
That's idolatry. Now, what happens when you're an idol? God smashes it.
Preach.
God
Talk about it.
smashes it. He smashes it. If you idolize your career, God will smash it. You idolize your intellect, God will smash it. He'll take your mind away. You idolize your family, God will smash it. You put anything before God, He's going to smash it. You know, it's kind of interesting. You know, I share my faith. I remember I shared my faith with this guy in Birmingham. He was a semi-pro football player at that time. And I was like, dude, hey, you got to come to church. He said, oh, I'm too busy. I got practice. I'm playing for Aston Villa. Okay, now if you guys know Aston Villa, it's a pretty popular football team in Birmingham, almost like Ajax football club. Okay, so he's like, yeah, I'm playing for Aston Villa. You know, I'm a semi-pro player, and you know, I need to be focused on this. I said, okay, cool. So I got his Instagram. I said, hey, follow me, see what I post and stuff online. I'm watching him, I'm following him, I see what he's doing, he's got great videos, he's got so many popular guys following him and so forth, he's well known, and then he signed a contract with Aston Villa. I was like, wow, pretty awesome. I was like, man, everyone's happy, congratulations, everyone's fired up. This was about a year or two ago, okay? Last night, I go on Instagram, he makes an announcement, at the age of 22 years old, he's retired.
What?
Because both of his knees are messed up. He says he tore so many muscles in his body. He tore his ACL, he tore his ligaments, he tore all this kind of stuff. And he had so many surgeries, and he tried to go back, and he messed up his knee again. At the age of 22, he had to retire from football. I was like, wow. That's what God will do when you idolize something else. When you put Him above anything else in the world, when you put anything else above Him, He'll smash it. He'll take it away from you. You know, I want you to reflect in your life right now. What is something that God keeps smashing over and over?
Come on, bro. Come on.
What is something that just keeps falling over and over?
Come on.
It's because it's an idol. And God is trying to smash it in your life.
Wow.
We see that anything can become an idol. You gotta ask yourself, who will you worship today? Romans chapter 1. Romans chapter 1. Romans chapter 1. The second point is simply idolatry leads to hell. Idolatry leads to hell. Romans 1. You know, the word of God is just convicting. Romans 1 verse 18, it says, the wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all the godlessness and wickedness of people who suppress the truth by their wickedness. Since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them, for since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, His eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so people are without excuse. So the Bible tells you here that atheists don't exist. There is no such thing as an atheist. This says there's enough evidence in the world to make you believe in God. Plenty of evidence. But the issue is you love wickedness over truth. That's the problem. 21. For although they knew God, you see, then you know God. You know, it's funny when I share my faith with people who are atheists, you know, so many of them are asked, hey, have you read the Bible? Yes, I have. Oh, why? Because they're curious in their heart. They know there's a real God. Deep down, they know, man,
Talk about it.
there's a God.
Yeah.
But they suppress it. So it says they knew God, they neither glorified Him as God nor gave thanks to Him. But their thinking became futile and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal human beings and birds and animals and reptiles. Therefore, God gave them over in the sinful desires of their hearts to sexual impurity, but are degrading their bodies with one another. So look what happens, look what idolatry leads to. Okay? First it says, you give into your sinful desires of your heart. 25. They exchange the truth of God about God for a lie, and worship and serve created things, idols, rather than the Creator, whose forever praise, amen. Amen. Because of this, because you choose idolatry, look what happens. God gave them over to a shameful lust. Even the women exchanged natural sexual relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, the man also abandoned natural relations with women and went inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed shameful acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their error. 28. Furthermore, just as they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to a depraved mind. So they do what ought not to be done. They've become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, malice. They are gossips, slanders, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They have no understanding, no fidelity, no love, no mercy. Although they know God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death, they not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them. We see so many sins over here.
Yeah.
And this is what idolatry leads to. Idolatry is the reason why there's murder in the world.
Yeah.
Idolatry is the reason why there's sexual abuse.
Yep.
Idolatry is the reason why the LGBTQ exists.
Preach.
Idolatry is the reason why there's impurity in the world. Idolatry is the reason why there's so much greed. I mean, I gotta ask you a question. Does this describe your sin list today?
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Is this your sin list? If it is, then we found the root. You're an idolater. Idolater, rather. You worship an idol. And we see what happens over here. Idols lead to hell. There's only one destination they lead to. Hell. See, Moses broke the commandments when he came down from the mountain, because they broke the most important commandment, which is to not worship any other God besides God. And when you break that commandment, you break every other commandment.
Preach.
If God is not number one in your life, you will easily break every other commandment. So Moses was like, there's no point in having these 10 commandments. I'm just going to break them. Because you've broken the first one. You created a golden calf. You've replaced God with a golden calf. You see what I mean, family?
Come on, bro.
You got to ask yourself, what are you making? Are you making more idols than disciples? Are you making more idols in your life more than disciples?
Yo.
You know, in Luke 18, the man wanted to go to heaven. You know, people want to go to heaven, but they want to take their idols with them.
Come on, bro.
I don't know. They want to go to heaven and still carry their idol. That's Luke 18 is an example of that. The rich man, I want to go to heaven. Really? Yeah. Okay, give it all your money. You ran away sad.
Oh.
You see, some of you guys are listening. You want to come to church, you want to be saved, but there's an idol you want to give up. And you go to hell because you want to give up your idol. You go to hell because you don't want to give up your idol. You see what I mean? Idolatry always leads to hell.
Come on.
Okay, so you're wondering, okay, how do I know I have an idol?
Come on, bro.
The third point is warning signs you have idols.
Go on, bro.
What are the warning signs you get an idol? The first is simple. It causes you to disobey God.
Talk about it.
Second one is it gives you greater joy than Christ.
Come on.
Third is it gives you the most excitement about your future. The fourth is you fear losing it the most. The fifth, it's a sin you refuse to give up. Number 6, it's what you daydream about the most. Number 7, it's what you most enjoy talking about. Number 8, it's what you love spending money on. Number 9, it's what you enjoy spending time on.
Oh.
And number 10, you miss church for it.
Oh.
Do you have an idol?
Come on, Frank. Hey.
Come on, Frank.
What can your idol do? Can it love you like God loves you? With a love that is better than life? Can it connect you to eternal beauty? Can it save you? Can it redeem you? Can it lift you up out of the miry pit? Can it make you clean enough to finally feel acceptable? Can it delight your soul to the core? Can it take your breath away with its faithfulness to you? Can it paint both sunrise and sunset across the sky to beckon your attention? Can it cause the breeze to blow and gently caress your cheeks? Can it send hummingbirds and wildflowers across your path to romance your heart? Can it parade before you the starry hosts and call them each by name? Can it probe you to the depths and fill you with itself? Can it rush to your aid riding on the wings of the wind? Can it satisfy your hunger and thirst with bountiful things? Can it give to your feet? Can it give to your feet like a deer that you might dance upon the heights? Can it arrange every detail of your life to draw you and drive you to itself? Can it pursue you with all the resources of the universe? Can it know you through and through and still desire you? Can it raise you up and seat you in the heavenly realms and bless you with every spiritual blessing? Can it supply your every need out of His glorious riches? Can His grace be sufficient for you and His mercy help you in the greatest temptation? Can it pour overflowing comfort into you through all your troubles? Can it reach down to draw you out of deep waters? Can it set you on unshakable foundation? Can it bound across the mountains to come to rescue you? Can it make you lie down in green pastures and lead you beside still waters? Can it walk with you through the darkest wilderness and never leave you or forsake you? Can it carry you when you are weak or have fallen? Can it let you rest between His shoulders when you're weary or burdened? Can it escort you to heaven's banqueting table and spread His banner of love over you? Can it hide you in the shelter of its wings? Can it be your daily portion and immerse you in the boundlessness of itself? Can it clothe you in robes of righteousness and garments of salvation? Can it give you praise in exchange for mourning? Can it bestow on you a crown of beauty for ashes? Can it turn your wailing into dancing? Can it flood you with peace like a river? Can it fill your heart with joy in the worst afflictions? Can it know the way to lead you home? Can it refine you in His fire and bring you forth as gold? Can it capture you fully even if it says it's fully free? Can it truly be your everything?
Come on.
In the words of John the Apostle, in his last letter to the church, he says, "Dear children, get rid of your idols."
Yeah.
I fully believe that when we make God our number one priority, nothing's impossible for us. I challenge you to smash the idol that's stopping you from being saved today. I challenge you to stop the idol that's stopping you, who's already saved, from going to heaven. Even though we're in a city full of idols, let's be the light that's in the darkness.
Come
I
on.
love you, and to God be the glory.